Okay, welcome to our very first six-figure infill projects review. We're going to do this monthly, the last Friday of every month, unless probably if it's a holiday, we'll do the Friday before that. But we're going to cover the infill deals that we currently have that we're doing for our own deals or also for our clients. We're going to go through a progress call on what's being done to the property, what the stage that we're in, any kind of challenges that we ran into, as well as progress made the previous month. And so you'll be able to follow along with your project if you own one of these deals or are invested in it, or if you're just curious on how this all works and want more information on the challenges we run into and what kind of progress is made and how often. So we're going to have that available every month, and we're going to post it on YouTube. So I'm going to share my screen here. Hang on one second. All right, let me pull up my share screen. Okay, we're gonna first just review project by project, then we'll show you some documents that we have with each project for some reference. We're gonna improve this over time. We'll likely cover as we go forward each month. We'll probably add kind of how we do this. But for right now, we're just going to cover the project itself, a brief description, what phase it's in, and then any kind of progress or challenges we ran into and what the next steps are. So the first one that we're going to go over is our Federal Way condo tower. So this is a project that's on the Boise Bench on Federal Way. It's actually kind of a unique property in that it has direct views of the foothills. It's right along Federal Way, which runs right along the rim. So it's kind of an exciting project in that the upper floors are going to have some fantastic views of the foothills that won't be impeded ever. And so right now, I think we have it as a 48 unit condo tower to fit all the parking. And then we're in a partnership with this on between the homeowner and the architect. Um, so it's a three person partnership or a three entity partnership, I should say. We're currently going through entitlements. Now, there's some caveat with that because we ran into some challenges, which I'll cover here in a second, but we're kind of on a brief pause, but we actually did hear from the homeowner today. But the current progress, so we got through a few months ago, we got through the initial interdepartmental review. That went okay for most of the departments, but we ran into an issue with Republic Services, which is the trash collection. So essentially what they said, so currently the street that this is on, in fact, let me pull up my screen here. Hang on. So for some reference here, I think I have a picture. Yeah. Okay, so this is on a dead end street, and right now the trash service picks up trash from all these homes. And this is because of the dead end street without a true turnaround. What they're currently doing is they're turning around in this dirt lot that belongs to this Ralph Roy motel. Well, this isn't developed or anything, so this isn't an official turnaround. That's just what they're doing. And so they told us that in order to develop our property, we needed to provide some kind of turnaround for their garbage truck. Now, the fire department doesn't require a turnaround, but the garbage department does, which is kind of, to me, it's a little bit silly because they're already doing something, but they basically want us to solve their problems. So we kind of came to a pause on that because we ran out of options. It wasn't feasible to do something in the property just because of the requirements. And so when we, kind of hit that roadblock a little bit, I wouldn't say it's a roadblock, it's just a challenge. My suggestion was that, either one, we do some kind of turnaround on the property, which I don't think is very feasible without severely diminishing it, which is still an option. But then I suggested, it looks like right here we have, this is actually a canal, but it's mostly underwater, or sorry, underground. Um, So this canal is underground in the properties directly north. And so my suggestion was let's cover up this canal. Let's put it like pipe it underground and build an alley because this is a dead end street right here. This is a dead end street here. So let's go to ACHD and the city and ask them if we can put in an alley. We'll pay for all this. And basically create an alley between the two streets that kind of solves a lot of problems. Now they become, you know, where they were issues for, you know, fire and garbage turnarounds. Now you solve that problem. And so yeah, to me, this solves the problem. You know, ultimately, we need to, if we're going to move forward with this, where we got to right now at this point is because we ran to this challenge, the homeowner is a little bit wishy-washy on what he wanted to do if he wanted to stick with this long term. So we actually need to get an official partnership agreement and figure out if he's going to stick in this long term or not. So we're at a little bit of a pause right now until we come to some kind of an agreement, whether he's gonna, um, you know, be in it full time or to the end, or you know, he's talking about selling it. So, you know, ultimately we need to figure out something with that, and then we'll move forward with trying to do the alley route. If we can get the alley route, that would be perfect. If we can't do that, then the ultimate next step would be we can still develop the property. We just basically need to scale it back significantly, either by providing a turnaround on the site, on the actual lot, and making the condo tower a lot less, or looking at it. I originally analyzed this as a townhome development, which still makes sense. And then we don't have as many challenges with the garbage truck because it essentially becomes like any other development with actual streets into it versus underground or in unit parking. So there are ways forward. We're just kind of still working through some options with the homeowner and making sure that we're all on the same page. So the next step basically is to get an official partnership agreement. We have an MOU right now, but going through a partnership agreement with them. And then once we have that signed, then we can move forward with these other options. The next one is a deal that we're doing. It's not quite a partnership. They're kind of hiring us, but we're also kind of incentivized to make progress. So this deal, the homeowner bought this house. It was on a very large lot, kind of in Northwest Boise. He bought it about probably 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, and he originally rezoned it from R1A to R1B. And what he should have done at that point is actually rezoned it. He should have hired me, you know, back then if you knew me, and rezoned it R1C because now we were basically trying to rezone it from R1B to R1C, even though he's already rezoned it a couple years ago now. So we still think we have a path forward with that. It's just a little bit more challenging because it's been rezoned once. So it's currently in entitlements. So we had our neighborhood meeting in December. That went about as well as I thought it would go. Luckily, he gave me a heads up about the neighborhood. There was about 30 people that showed up. Almost every single one of them was against any kind of development whatsoever. I think one guy said that he didn't really care what we did with the property. He just wanted to make sure that he got his landscape water, which I said, yeah, no problem. We always have to, no matter what, make sure that everybody, all the water, landscape water is still deliverable the same way. In fact, this would actually be improved because it would actually now put some kind of system to the landscape water versus right now it's just open ditches. Um, so anyway, we had that neighborhood meeting. Didn't go so well, but I was prepared for it. So I think it went as well as I possibly could. We definitely just talked about the merits of why we feel it should and could be rezoned and then subdivided. And then we had our interdepartmental review in January. So we got a lot of feedback from the city there. Nothing specific on those, except for we did find out that ACHD wanted us to widen the road to half of 36 feet, I believe, instead of their standard 33 feet. And that's because this is a um, collector street. And on top of that, they also want a detached 10-foot sidewalk. So, so we were originally planning like maybe we could get variance for the sidewalk and not do sidewalks at all. And so that might still be a possibility, but I think we might just stick with the 10 foot. So it goes more smoothly if we can do that. There is a challenge with when the homeowner originally split this bigger chunk of lot off. He split the lot off, but then we also tried to do later on, once he hired me, do a lot line adjustment by 9 feet to make sure we had plenty of room to do 4 lots. Well, that new plat never got recorded before he sold the original house, and so now he can't get the people that bought that house to sign off on the plat, and so now we're stuck with this a little bit smaller lot. And so it's going to be a little bit tricky to get 4 lots. If we didn't have to widen the road, we could actually have plenty of space. But because we have to widen the road to 36 feet, we actually need to jump through some hoops to try to get just barely enough square footage to get 4 lots out of it. So still working on that. We're working through that process. Um, the the next steps is regarding the ACHD right of way. I need to go talk to the head engineer because essentially we're talking about we need 6 inches of right of way space. So we're going to try to jump through some hoops to get there. But then during the IDR meeting, we basically the city just let us know that it's going to be a little bit challenging to get it approved, but to write basically the best description letter I've ever written in my life, explaining why this project fits the area and why it should be approved. And so I have a pretty good idea. I've already written a pretty good one for when we submitted it for the neighborhood meeting, but I just need to clean it up a little bit. But I think everything basically in the code supports this project. The one thing that is kind of goes against the project is the Sycamore neighborhood itself and the Sycamore plan overlay. But that was written, 20 years before the newest code. So, we have some precedent to kind of come in with the newer zoning and newer code over that. And then the next step is to submit the rezone and subdivision application. So we were shooting for this month to do that, but we were kind of under the gun and we didn't quite get the information we needed to submit in time. So we're going to try to submit that in March. I think we have most of the information, so just need to clean up some stuff and then send that in March. And then after we submit the application, then we can get in front of the planning and zoning hearing or get on a planning and zoning hearing 2 months after. So so you submit in March, then you get in the hearing in May. And then after that, the city council. So if planning and zoning approves it, or we want to, even if they say no, we can go in front of city council and get a reversal from them. But that's usually 2 months after that. So we are looking at some kind of approval or for sure no, likely in July of this year, most likely. Okay, moving on to the next one. So this is one of my own projects, Life Tree Village. So we actually built this. We bought, developed it, built a custom home from the original home landowner that kind of got it through entitlements. We built and sold 2 homes. We still have 2 lots left. We are actually have this on the market to do design build for potential clients. If we don't get these under contract in the next month or so, we'll just build these as spec homes. So that's kind of the next step. We have a meeting scheduled for a realtor and their client, I think on Monday, for a potential design build. But either way, we're going to move towards doing these as spec homes like the other ones here, probably start designing them in March and hopefully be in construction probably sometime over the summer. Then we have another client came to us for another lot split. This is also on the Boise bench. And so he owns some he does a lot of buy and hold real estate. So he does a lot of Airbnbs and some long-term rentals. So he actually he owns this property and wanted to to split this off and build, kind of maximize this for rentals. So what we are doing on this one, let me see if I can find it. Here it is. So we are splitting off a lot that's 33 feet wide from the eastern side of this. Now that sounds kind of narrow if you're not familiar with some of these narrower lots in Boise, but that's actually a little bit wider than most of the row homes in the area. So the unit itself will be 23 feet wide. We're gonna right now we're planning on building a duplex, then with an attached ADU in the back. So essentially it becomes essentially a triplex. And so with that, we can do 2 3-bedroom units and then 1 2-bedroom unit. And then I think he's also going to build an ADU in the back of his existing house. This existing house, I believe, is a 5-bedroom that he's renting as an Airbnb. So yeah, this will be a fun project. So it's right now it's going through entitlements. The challenge with this right now So this is the western property. There's an existing sidewalk that ends at an irrigation box on their side of the property. So the new code, we have to do a detached sidewalk without a variance, and it actually works better because all of this infrastructure is already within the 8-foot landscape buffer that we would need to do with a detached sidewalk. If we didn't do it 8-foot detached, we'd basically have to remove all this stuff and just put in the sidewalk. So there's still some trickiness to this because essentially we need to connect to this sidewalk. And in order for us to connect from here to there, this neighbor over here has to agree to um, there's an ACHD like landscape agreement, I think, and a right-of-way adjustment, I believe. And so essentially this homeowner would have to agree to something with ACHD in order to be able to route the sidewalk properly. Otherwise, we'll have to figure out some other creative way. Um, uh, we may be able to move this irrigation box over onto our property line and then just connect the sidewalk over at this property line. I actually didn't think about that until just now. The only issue with that is there's a telephone riser here as well. So now we have to move that. So it just adds some possible expenses there. So we're going to try to do this for the homeowner with minimal expenses. So that's kind of what I'm going for. So the first plan is to try to connect to the existing sidewalk the way it is and just, not have to worry about any of this irrigation or telephone riser or anything. But if that doesn't work, then we might have a little bit of expense going in to move in this stuff. Either way, there's there's profitability with this, either just splitting the lot, but also splitting the lot and building long-term rentable units here. So the next steps on this one, so we are ready to submit the subdivision application. We just have to kind of fill out the paperwork for that, but we have the survey and the site plan now, so we should be ready to submit the application here in March. We do need a landscape plan, which we are working on getting that. If not, I can throw something together myself really quick in order to submit it in time. So that's the goal there. The next project is Silva's first subdivision. So this is a single lot split near downtown Meridian. This is also going through entitlements. So the progress that we made, so the lot split was actually approved just last month through Meridian, or this month rather, through Meridian City Council. So they approved it. Right now, the engineers are working on the sewer and water plans, the engineering plans. Once those are finished, we will send those to the city to review and get stamped. And then we can begin construction on the actual infrastructure to get that lot separated and the plat signed. So that's the next step with that, is to actually put in the infrastructure. So this project, when we had this under contract with the buyer, or the buyer had this under contract, when we went to the city of Meridian, they told us that it fell in the future plan of Old Town, which would be higher density, and we could theoretically get 3 townhome lots on there. Well, what ended up happening, so we knew that was always going to be kind of a little bit of a coin flip on whether that would go or not. And I'm used to, one person telling us one thing, and then when we apply, it's a whole different story. So unfortunately, that is actually what happened again, is where, they kind of got our hopes up, and then he closed on it, and it ended up turning out to be we can only do a single lot split. Now, we knew that going in, we planned for it. We knew it was going to be, a really great project if we could rezone into higher density and build some townhomes. And it was worth the risk. It's still a single by just, doing the single lot split. But I think ultimately, if we were to do it over again, he probably would have bought a different project. I think we all got our hopes up a little bit too much on the triple lot split. And that's why I always warn people on rezones, like you don't ever want to count on that. You can go into it with, um, ultimately your expectation is that you're only going to end up with what you can officially do. And then it's just a bonus, anything else you can do. So that's what we went into with this one. Um, so I don't think, there's too much disappointment there. It's just that, um, I think we were probably a little bit more hopeful than we should have been, that it could be rezoned. But either way, that it's moving forward. It got approved. Now the next step is to get in the infrastructure, and then we'll also reanalyze this too to see if it makes sense to build out a house, if it's more profitable to actually build out the house or to just sell the finished lot. If it's not significantly more beneficial to build out a house, then he's just going to sell the lot to somebody that wants to build their house. It's a great location, downtown Meridian, though, just a few blocks from all the downtown stuff. So, all right, next one is Xenia subdivision. Is a Garden City subdivision that we had a client close on just last month. The beginning of this month, we had our second due diligence meeting with the city. So this is going through entitlements right now. And then the survey, I thought it was supposed to happen today, but I got an email. I had to sign an agreement apparently. So it's going to get surveyed probably next week. But we are currently working through entitlements. The due diligence went pretty well. In fact, the main challenge with this project right now, let me see if I have a site plan here. I think I forgot to upload a site plan for this one, but the main challenge with this one right now is that so the city of Garden City on new developments typically requires a detached sidewalk. And then ACHD typically doesn't require any sidewalk, or they'll require a 5-foot attached sidewalk. So because of the size of the lot, it works out way better. It'll be a much better site plan if we can do an attached sidewalk. We lose a lot of space if we do that 8-foot landscape buffer that could be used for building footprints and parking and all that fun stuff. So, but in the new code, there's actually something in the new code that says we don't need sidewalks at all because it's on a dead end road. So I need to do a little bit further research on that. But the good news, I think, there is that we don't theoretically have to put in any sidewalks. So I think we can probably, just to make it look nice still, maybe do the attached sidewalks. And then it still looks nice. We can still get all the parking and open space requirements in, and then it'll be a pretty good project. So the next step is we have some trees on site. They're basically weed trees. They're not in good shape at all. We're going to cut those down prior to doing anything with planning and zoning. And then the next step for me is to really just review the new code and update the site plan accordingly. I think that's looking pretty good. And then we'll submit the application likely before the end of March. So that'll get moving forward. So next month, I hope to have that updated that application has been submitted. And then the final project that we have right now, anyway, hopefully I have a couple more to add to this next month. I think we're getting close to finalizing some contracts with a couple of different people. But the next one we have is Boise Avenue. This is a double lot split, possibly only a single lot split. This is kind of the same deal as this one in Meridian. where there's some limitations on the lot. We're not rezoning, so that's the good news. We can do all this within code, but essentially what happened is while we were under contract and went through our due diligence period, we got a survey done, and during when we got that survey done, we realized, or we found out, that the lot line on the survey didn't match up with the lot line on the assessor's website. And it lost enough square footage that it basically, we could only do one lot split, which again was like, that was kind of the original plan. And then we got excited because we thought we could do two. And then the survey basically showed that we couldn't do that. But what this is like such a weird situation. Um, like I've never run into this before, and this is like just so random. So the original property line, when it was split, was this line right here. What the assessor had is the assessor had us, so the previous owner that sold this property has been paying, and whoever was before that even, was paying taxes on this canal right here. So this property line with the assessor actually went like up to here. But then when we did the survey, it only officially went up to here, and we lost enough space where this now is only the size where we could split off one lot. Whereas if we had this much space, we could do two lots. Well, what we ended up finding on top of all this is that my engineer actually found this when he did some research. This is really crazy. Let me zoom way in right here. So when this was originally subdivided way back when, so this little sliver right here, so this is the canal, this little sliver right here, whoever did the subdivision here basically created unnamed, unnumbered parcels. So this street right of way ends, where it always did, along this line. Well, whoever subdivided this also created these parcels on this side of the ditch that never belonged to anybody. These never got named, numbered, they never got sold. Nobody owns them. The ditch, this mill ditch, nobody owns the mill ditch. So this is typically just an easement, and then whoever owns the lots that are on over the top of this owns this. And so what that created, when we did further research, is that we not only did we have this previous land that we thought was owned, but we have additional land up to the street right of way that nobody owns. So this chunk of land right here, officially, there's no parcel number, there's no tax parcel number, there's no ownership ever recorded for basically this whole chunk of land right here. And so right now we're going through, they hired an attorney to do a request for quiet title. Essentially what that is that is um, an action, a legal action you can take that if nobody disputes ownership of a parcel that doesn't show any ownership, essentially we can claim it. So we have more right to it than anybody else. We've already, talked with the canal, this canal, the canal people, and they don't own any land. They don't want to own any land. And then same thing with ACHD. They want nothing to do with the canal or even this strip land. This is where the right of way ends for all these other neighboring properties. And so this is just kind of like a no man's land piece of parcel, and it actually serves our property really well. I don't have the site plan, the new site plan, but essentially we're going to split this down the middle this way and then down the middle right here. These will be driveways, and then the new houses, there'll be a new house here and a new house here. And the people that own this house are going to split this, and they're going to keep this as rentals. So there's a lot of college housing in the area, so they're going to rent it most likely by the room. We might be able to do an ADU in one or both of these houses, but this extra space will give us enough square footage to split these in two and meet the minimum lot size standards uh, with room to spare. So whereas this original, what we thought we had, it was just barely enough. But now it'll be more than enough, and then it'll work out really well. And I don't think that we're gonna have any issue with that. I can't imagine somebody's gonna, claim title of that. It's just gonna take about a month and a half to complete. We're finishing up the floor plans and elevations to send back to the city for their information. And then we'll just start the application process. Well, we already started it, but we'll take the next step, which is actually submitting the application. The other thing that came up, you can't see it on this survey, but there's another one. So the space between this existing house and this lot line is, I think, 14 feet, maybe 13 feet. 13 feet, I think. And essentially what that creates, so there's a driveway, an existing driveway. It's been here for who knows how long, but there's an existing garage. Well, the garage is going to get removed at some point. It's actually not required for this, but there's an existing driveway right here, right now that basically doesn't meet the setback requirements in the new code. So we actually, when we do the application for this, we actually have to apply for a variance. And so that'll just be in conjunction with the subdivision. That 99% sure that'll get passed because it's already existing and it's not diminishing anything because it's already it should be grandfathered in, but it's not for whatever reason. But because we're adding housing, I think they're gonna approve the driveway. That's already existing. It's been there. It's been being used for years and years and years. So it's just non-conforming to the original, the current setback requirements. Okay, and I think that's it for the current projects that we have. Right now, we're trying to get two more projects and actually possibly a third under contract with homeowners. So those would be either projects that we take on ourselves, or one could be a partnership with the homeowner, depending on what they want to do. And then, one or two of them we might even just, sell to somebody that's interested on our deal list. So if you're watching this, if you have one of these projects, you have any questions about anything that I discussed, feel free to reach out to me privately. We can discuss over a Zoom call or a phone call. And then if you have any questions, if you're just watching this on anything that came up, always feel free to reach out to me as well.